Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Macy Clark on the podcast. She's coming to us from Georgia, and believe me, within about 2 seconds of you hearing her talk, you will say, "Yep, she's definitely from Georgia." It's one of those accents where it's like, you can't fake it really, where it just comes naturally. But yeah, she's a bodybuilder on here to share her health and fitness journey. Yeah, discuss all things health and fitness. And we're just gonna get this out of the way. Yes, she did go to Georgia Southern, and longtime listeners of the podcast know that I am a Nebraska football fan, and they did beat Nebraska. I don't know how they did it, but hey, they also got like $1.5 million out of it. So we're just gonna get that out of the way right now. I don't want to do this whole podcast just her taunting me mercilessly, which she can do. But hey, I'm the one that edits these things at the very end of the day, so I get the last laugh. But we got that out of the way. Okay, Macy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I will mention too, a few years ago, because I know you had Asha Hadley on here, and she's a Florida grad. Georgia Southern also beat Florida a few years ago, so we're known for kind of stirring the pot and shaking things up.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember that actually happening. So at least there's that. At least it's not like the first time that they've done that. But before we get into all that, and this just becomes like a 3-hour tangent podcast of me talking about the woes of Nebraska football, why don't you just first off give us your backstory on what inspired and motivated you to eventually become a bodybuilder and how it's led to where you're at right now?
Yeah, I've pretty much always, been into going to the gym. But that was more so just something to do. I wasn't taking anything serious with nutrition. It was just training. Then I got into college and I, packed on a little bit of weight or whatnot, and had kind of fallen out of going to the gym, and decided to get with a lifestyle coach, and she helped guide me on like a if it fits your macros type diet, and a workout plan and cardio plan and stuff like that. And this comes from somebody who drank about a 12-pack of Mountain Dew a day and lived off of
I understand that. I do.
and lived off of like pizza rolls and ramen and stuff like that. That's what I ate a lot of.
You got me drooling right now, right? Just thinking about that. The good old 20 to 22 age range where you're just living off of that.
Yeah, I would down a can of Pringles like it was nothing. So, anyways, I was known for like being a Mountain Dew addict or whatever, and I attribute a lot of that and my eating habits to packing on weight. So when I got with her, obviously, she was kind of like, the sodas have got to go. So I quit drinking any sodas, just cold turkey. Fully committed to if it fits your macros, and chose healthy food choices. Like I wasn't trying to fit fast food into my diet. I actually made my own food. And I rolled with that for about 2 years, and I did lose some weight. I did pretty well. And then I kind of got, the more committed I got to that, I kind of started like, looking more into bodybuilding, not necessarily competing, but, like I wanted to be like those people. So Dana Lynn Bailey, when she was sponsored by MHP, she caught my attention. So like I looked up to her a lot, and that really pushed me to get a little bit more serious in the gym. And then I saw a girl on Instagram posing, and I was like, dang, I really like the way that she poses. So between those two, I was like, I might want to, try competing. So I reached out to a coach who he coached me for my first 2 shows. And I'll be honest, my first prep, I did well. I lost a lot of weight. I was very small. But I almost was justifying, oh, I'm so small, I'm so lean, I can eat a little bit something extra. And I ended up getting away with it, but I was 109 pounds, And, you know, I just kept telling myself, oh, I need to eat just like a little bit. And after that first show, I did not reverse like I was supposed to. And it only took me doing that one time to learn that I never want to do that again after I compete. Um, so I really messed up my reverse, and um, I took a year to try to just kind of, you know, get my focus back or whatever, and got back with my coach who did my first prep. And the second show, I was fully committed. Um, I think it was a 12-week prep. I didn't miss a beat of cardio. My diet was 100% on. And I thought that I looked pretty well for that show. I was still small. I was 109 pounds, at one day out. Um, but those first 2 years competing, so by that second show, I had kind of locked in on the nutrition. I reversed like I was supposed to. But my training, I was doing my training myself, and I really wasn't pushing myself as hard as I could. So I dialed in on the nutrition aspect by that second show, but I still wasn't training to my full capabilities. Um, so by the time I got ready to compete for that third show in 2020, I switched coaches, and he put me on a specific training plan. And I think then is really whenever I started to buckle down on the training aspect of it and the mind muscle connection. And I started doing a lot more like time under tension, intensifier sets. And I was just focused a lot more on the training aspect. And that prep also 100% locked in. It went perfect. I was still small. I was still 110 pounds. Uh, but since that third show, I realized, okay, now I know I can train like I'm supposed to. I can eat like I'm supposed to. I had a lot of stuff coming up in 2021. A big house remodel, a wedding, and stuff like that. So I committed to taking the year off to focus on that, focus on putting on some muscle and whatnot. Um, and come this year, I was consistently checking in about 10 pounds heavier, in the same condition as I was in 2020. So I knew that I had added some muscle since then. I'm still small. Um, my coach says that I'm always going to kind of be petite.
I'm 6'3", and I went to my first bodybuilding show like last month, and I was just shocked how like I was a head taller than everyone. Like there's a line to get into the show of like 200-300 people. I could see above every single person that was in that line. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like I think of Michaela Acock because she started out like she didn't break 120 until like a couple years ago competing. And I met her at the Olympia last year, and I'm bigger than she is, and I'm small. Not like muscular wise, but just stature. I'm bigger than she is. So it's impressive the amount of muscle that she has put on and her size, and I look up to her a lot. But yeah, there are a lot of us small competitors. So I know like I try to stay positive. If I keep training, if I keep eating the way I'm supposed to, it's just going to take time. Um, but there are a lot of us small petite girls who have excelled in women's physique, women's bodybuilding. It takes time to get there.
Well, most importantly, I got to ask, how did you do going cold turkey off of soda? Because that for me was one of my biggest struggles as well. I was a Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper fanatic, so doing that was hard. What was that like going cold turkey on that? Because that to me was one of the pivotal moments of my fitness journey when I did that, because it put me through a loop. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I thought that it was going to be bad. When I was in high school, we went on our senior graduation trip to Universal or somewhere like that, and they're sponsored by Coke. Well, 3 days with no Mountain Dew, I was miserable. I couldn't enjoy myself. I was like, I'm just ready to get back to the house. This sucks. So when I quit cold turkey, I was like, I might can make it a day, but come that second or third day, I'm probably gonna start to feel like crap. And actually, it was so easy. I stopped cold turkey, and since then, I can't even. If I take a sip of it, it makes me sick. And I didn't drink a lot of water back then. I didn't drink coffee back then. Um, so it was just straight Mountain Dew. No water, hardly nothing. It was just Mountain Dew all day, every day. Pop a top, drink it, go on to the next one.
The thing that I use is like those 10-calorie pouches of like just flavoring that you can put in water. Basically, that's the stuff that really helped me get out of it. Where it's like, yeah, it's only 10 calories, so you're drinking 10-calorie water. Where it's like you can fill up like 2 water bottles worth with just one of those pouches that's like 10 calories. So that's at least what I use. But you talked about taking a year off as well of the sport, and obviously you're getting married, which congratulations on that, and you had other life events as well. But was that hard for you mentally to take that year off? Because I know, especially when you talk to bodybuilders, just the mindset that you have to have in this sport is so go big or go home. And then sometimes when you're taking years off, and I've talked to some competitors, it's a big struggle for them because they're so used to having that sort of go big or go home mentality. But then when they're having a year of rest and recovery, it's hard for them to sort of calm down their habits and their training.
Yeah, it was really hard, and I don't know that I would want to do because it was a full 2 years that I took off. I don't know that I would want to do that again because when I don't have a show coming up, I'm probably 80/20 on my diet. I pretty much stick to I get a free meal on Sunday nights, but
What are you
I
having tonight since it is Sunday, everyone?
oh, I'm not getting one tonight. Not unless my coach tells me otherwise in the next couple of hours. Um, but typically I always overdid it. Like a cheat meal, you think, okay, 2 or 3 rolls of sushi, a burger and fries. No, I took that cheat meal and went too far. So I like having a show coming up because prep is easy for me. It's easy for me to stick to my diet. And off season is way harder. Um, but too, I I was kind of glad I was taking a year off because I was going to get to really focus on training and adding muscle. Um, but I believe some around April, I injured my back, my low back. So from my L3 to my S1, I herniated those discs, and I didn't know at the time that that's what was wrong. So I went from April until the end of December until I finally got an MRI and realized that's what was wrong. But I wasn't able to deadlift. I wasn't able to do any kind of squats, no hip hinge movements. Everything had to be chest supported. So that kind of set me back a little bit, and that was a big bummer. And I think that it kind of got me down a little bit because I was looking forward to being able to really train at my best, and I spent the majority of the year injured.
Yeah, how do you guys deal with injuries? I mean, that is when you're that because like just people don't understand just how hardcore this lifestyle is. That like when you can't do it, it's yeah. I don't get how you guys do with that, but hey, more power to you for it. But I also love to talk genetics on this podcast because I hear this almost every single day, and I hate it more than life itself. Oh my, I just want to get this big. I just want better arms. I just want better legs. I just want better back. People do not understand that genetics just plays such a huge role in it. And I hear this all the time too, like, oh my God, I want her abs, I want his arms. And you just want to strangle them because you're just like, you do not understand that you can work out just like someone, you can eat just like them. You're not going to get the same results. Everyone is just built differently. But on top of that, whenever someone first gets started working out, they always have that one body part that really, really takes off that they don't have to train as much. And they always have that one body part that just drags behind. They have to train into oblivion. What was that one body part that really took off for you? And what was that one body part that you just had to slowly drag behind?
My arms have done pretty well, and see, I'm pretty balanced. Like I am small, but everything is pretty much grown at the same rate. Like my lower body isn't more dominant, my upper body isn't more dominant. But my arms have probably been the easiest thing to grow. That's why I have one bicep exercise a week and one tricep exercise a week.
What?
That's all I've had for probably 2.5 years.
What is the one bicep exercise and what's the one tricep exercise?
The tricep is close grip bench. And I do have dips in there too. I'm sorry. Dips, close grip bench, and standing dumbbell curls, both arms at the same time. Uh, and it's at the very end. It's like 2 warm up sets and a rest pause set.
Screw you. The gym bro in me right now is losing my mind. Where it's just like, wait, you only do one arm exercise? What is this? Is blasphemy right here. But hey,
If I did, my shoulders are definitely very, very hard to grow. I had shoulder surgery, and my left shoulder is like pulling teeth to get it to grow. So I mean, if I trained my arms more, my shoulders would look even smaller. So
that is one of the big misconceptions the general public has, is they don't understand how this is all about proportions, which I would honestly rather have your body type personally, where it's like everything is evened out properly somewhat. And then, because I've had so many times where like, yeah, one person just looks at something and then it grows, and then the other body parts just drag behind. I mean, my legs, for me being 6'3", don't even get me started on it. It's not fun, and it's not going to happen. It's just my calves, the most genetic body part out there, never going to happen. So
yeah, my legs too have kind of been hard to grow, but um pretty much the last 2 years I've had 2 push days and 2 pull days, and with 1 leg day. But the last 2 weeks, I believe, I'm doing legs twice now, and I can already tell a difference. Um, so my legs have never truly been like peeled to the bone, so I have no clue what they look like. They will be peeled eventually, but I think my legs are something like I'm gonna have to beat them into the ground multiple times a week to actually get them to respond the way that I want them to.
any advice on how to best recover from a leg day? Because those are the days where like I know I'm just gonna have to be crawling out of bed, and then I work a job where I'm active a lot. I work in a warehouse, so I get like 12,000 steps a day, regardless of whatever I do. So, any advice on how to properly rest a leg day? Because that to me is like, that's one of the reasons why I think people start training certain body parts and then they just, like the gym bros, they don't train legs as much, because I think there's always just that myth that like, oh, your legs are so sore afterwards and you can't even walk. So, what do you do at least to help rest and recover, especially if you're doing multiple leg days?
So until the last year, maybe, I didn't do a lot of like outside recovery. But recently, I have started to get a lot more deep tissue stuff, some rossiter stretching. I don't know what it's really called. And I've noticed a huge difference with that. I do a lot of Epsom salt baths. I have a massage gun here. I have a foam roller. Yep, all that. But two, after both of my leg days. So I commute. I drive. There's not really any good gyms where I live, so I commute 50 minutes to a gym so that I can train legs, and it's a good gym. It's a really good gym. Um, so on the before I drive 50 minutes back home after training legs, I generally do a couple of like quad stretches, hamstring stretches, just so that they don't tighten up on the ride home. And later that night, um, an Epsom salt bath. And for the most part, that seems to so far it seemed to have gotten the job done. But I work night shift. So on days that I have to work, I get up. Right, currently, I go do fasted cardio. I come home, I eat, drink my coffee. I drive 50 minutes to go train legs. I come back home, I get ready for work, and I go to work. And I've been doing that for 5 years. So that's what I'm accustomed to.
Driving 15 minutes to go train legs is the most dedication I've ever heard for your story so far. That takes.
And I have not missed because tradition or for the last 2 years I've only done legs on Monday because that was the easiest day for me to get over there. Because I'm in law enforcement, so I'm off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I've had time to get a little bit of extra sleep so that I can get up early on Monday and go drive there and then come back and go to work. But yes, I have.
Does your police like precinct have a gym? Because I've heard that a lot of them do. Do they have anything for you guys?
Mm, they do, but
What is it? It's just like the bench press, and then there's like a pull-up bar or something like that.
yeah, I mean, they have a few pieces of equipment. I mean, they have a few lifestyle fitness pieces, but they don't really move like they're supposed to. And it's just, I'd rather wake up early and drive 50 minutes to go train there, you know. But I have not missed, even when I was injured on with my back and I couldn't do a lot of stuff, I still drove to that gym because I mean, they had stuff that I could at least use to kind of get around my injury. But I have not missed driving there in 2 years. And now that I'm going on Fridays now as well, I will not miss going on a Friday either. So I love that gym. If I could go every day during the week, I would. A lot of times, when my cardio isn't so high, I do try to go and get a back day in there as well. Um, and two, they have a Publix on the way home. So I go to the gym, I hit up Publix, and then I come home.
Well, we gotta do a quick tangent here because every time it happens, I have to mention it. We saw a dog walk behind the camera. What's your dog's name?
What color was she?
It was golden. It looked like a golden retriever, maybe.
That's and then I have a little miniature Dotson Bell.
I'm the biggest dog lover around. We have a little Cavachon at my parents' house. I do these at my parents' house, and oh my god, that thing is about 8 pounds, and it thinks it's the toughest dog on the planet. It will bark at anything, but then as soon as you get within like 5 feet of it, it rolls over because it knows the fight's over before it even began. So
Yeah, I'm surprised. My little mini Dotson, she loves people. I mean, she doesn't meet a stranger, so I'm surprised like she's not up here in my lap right now, but she's curled up in a little ball.
Well, thank God it's not a husky because those are the only dogs where I tell people it's like, okay, you're gonna have to either like put them in a room or do something like that because they bark the entire time that we're trying to talk. So that's the only time where it's like you have a husky, and I was like, okay, well, that's the thing. But hey, dogs being dogs. But I mean, going back into it, we're talking. I mean, well, first of all, I should say, everyone, if you don't have one of these and you're into like health and fitness, get one. I mean, I don't know why you're not doing that. I did do a problem one time where I was having like severe back pain because I bent down, and I'm 28 and I don't know if my back is starting. I mean, I work so many warehouse jobs where you're just loading stuff in a truck. So I can already tell like I'm going to have back problems later down the line, but I've accepted it and stuff. But I'd used the gun way too much where like I accidentally like bruised my back doing it so much. So then that made it even worse. So everyone make sure that you follow instructions and do all that stuff right. That's one thing I got to add out there. But I mean, nutrition is such an important part of this lifestyle, and it's not talked about as much as I really think it should be. And what were some of the bigger nutritional changes that you made, other than going cold turkey on soda, obviously? But what were some of the other big nutritional changes that you made when you really started to take things seriously in this lifestyle?
Water. I pretty much so the same lifestyle coach that wanted me to get rid of the Mountain Dew, she wanted me to drink a gallon of water a day, and I'd never done that before, but I went 100% in and committed to it, and I have not looked back since. It's been at least a gallon of water every day since 2016. So that was huge. Because I didn't realize back then, how important it was to be hydrated and stuff like that. So that was one thing, and another big thing is I'm from the South. We like good country cooking.
I was going to say, in my opinion, it must be almost impossible to be a bodybuilder from the South, just based on that fact alone.
I can't go, like in prep. I can go to my mom's house because I'm not going to get into anything. But in the off season, I cannot go to her house because she is always going to have something.
What are holidays like?
Oh God, they're delicious. My mom does not cook anything bad, and I know a lot of people think that their parents are like the best cooks. My mom is truly like one of the best home Southern style cooking people there is out there.
Well, I will just say this: my mom is an average cook at best, and she knows it. But so I'll admit that at least, because I know a lot of people. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, my mom's a great cook." I'm the one person that'll be like, "No, she's average." Let's be honest here, everyone. We're not gonna, she does stuff good, she does stuff bad. My dad, if it's not a hamburger, if it's not sausage or anything like that, he can't cook it either. So, but then my uncle is the cook of the family, so
Yeah, my dad, he never really cooked anything, but my mom, she likes to say the two things that she can do well is cook and work. And I mean, that's true. She's worked 3 jobs her whole life, and she has dominated the kitchen also. Um, but with that, we had a lot of like leftovers. So she would cook, and we'd eat leftovers for 2 or 3 days. I did not eat leftovers. If the food got cold, just sitting on top of the stove, I was done eating. So I was going to eat what I was going to eat. And once it got cold and it went in that fridge, I was done. I will eat some ramen noodles the next day or something. Now, and I was a very picky eater too. Like I didn't eat seafood. I didn't eat a lot of stuff. But now, I'll eat asparagus, rice, turkey, whatever that's been in the fridge for like 5 days. And my mom picks at me all the time. She was like, "You used to wouldn't eat that if it had been in the refrigerator for more than 2 seconds." And just like foods that I've learned to eat, I never really ate a lot of protein growing up. Like I'd eat hamburgers, bacon, stuff like that. That was about the extent of meat that I ate. Now, I can eat tilapia, salmon, chicken, steak, turkey. So more of a variety. That's been a big difference.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where I shock the guest with my revelation. So I've never had grits, never had biscuits and gravy. Well, I have biscuits, but I've never even had gravy in my life.
White gravy. Well, brown gravy is okay. I mean, like what you get on your mashed potatoes at KFC, it's all right. But I'm a white gravy fan, and Hardee's breakfast, like Hardee's the change, Carl's Jr., whatever. They had the best white sausage gravy. We do not have a Hardee's where I live, thank God.
I don't think we have them up here in Minnesota either. There might have been like 1 or 2 that I've seen, but nothing like close to me. Yeah.
But growing up, when my grandma would take me to school, our thing was we would go to Hardee's because a lot of old people go to Hardee's in the morning time. And we would go, and I would get a biscuit and gravy with an extra butter biscuit and 2 orders of hash browns. And then I'd go to school.
I'm getting a heart attack just listening to that. Jeez.
Every day. And I was 118 pounds in high school, like a size 2. So I had a decent metabolism whenever I was in school. And, that was kind of our thing. Like we went to Hardee's, and then I'd go to school and whatnot. But, yeah, like a big thing that my mom does. So she does do good grits, good mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. But something that even people from the South don't know what it is ham, juice, and rice. So she will bake a ham, and she cooks the white rice in the ham juice. And it's got a little bit of the shredded ham in it. And I'm like, this is like a no-brainer. Why aren't more people doing this? But I was telling a friend of mine who was from the South about it, and they're like, ham juice, like, what does that come in a can or something? I was like, no, you bake a turkey and you use the juice off of that. So that is a Southern thing that I really enjoy. So my birthday meal used to be ham, juice, and rice, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, fried okra, and garlic cheese biscuits. That was my birthday meal for like 6 years in a row.
See, you guys in the South, like you guys actually have a cuisine and everything like that. In the Midwest, we used to have our tater tot hot dish and our green bean casseroles and just stuff like that. We got nothing up here, okay, everyone. And we got Norwegian, so we got our left son lutefisk too, which lutefisk is one of the worst things ever. Do not ever, if you've ever not tried it, don't ever try it, everyone out there, unless you know that you're into that stuff, and then I don't even want to talk to you, because that's a whole level of insane that, you know, even I can't really, you know, stomach myself. But when you're walking on that stage for the first time after, you know, going through such a long hard prep, what is that feeling like for you when you're finally able to show off all that hard work that you've worked so much for?
Um, I mean, it means a lot. The show that I done recently, we did a 20-week prep for that. That's the first time I've ever prepped that long. Traditionally, it's been 12 to 15 weeks. And this was my second show with this coach, so I knew pretty much how it was going to be. Um, there was no cheat meals, there was no refeeds, there was no high days. There was lots of cardio. There was very low calories. Um, and I thought that 20 weeks of prepping, I would be in a little bit better shape. I mean, that's just me being honest. I expected to be a little bit more conditioned. And it just didn't happen. But I could tell that, you know, I'd added some muscle tissue and whatnot. And I felt really good for that show. I mean, I would have rather have been better conditioned, but I was very proud of myself because I knew I was like, dang, 20 weeks, this is a long time. Am I going to be able to commit 100% to everything? And with my work schedule, am I going to be able to do everything like I'm supposed to do it? And I did. So that was kind of gratifying because I know like my schedule is very busy. A lot of people would make excuses. You know, this come up, so I wasn't able to do this, and I didn't have. I that wasn't an option. So if I had to do X amount of cardio on a day that I worked, I got it done. Period. Um, but what we decided after my last show, well, I had no intentions of competing again. And it was like 2 weeks after my show, and I just told my coach, I was like, listen, I know that we can be better. Can we give it one more go? So that's what we're going to do. And this next time will be much improved.
Are you changing anything like specifically up from this prep to make those improvements?
No. So actually, about 4 weeks out from the last show, we didn't go full keto, but we cut my carbs way back, and I really didn't get a response out of it. But then when we added some carbs back in, then my body all of a sudden started to respond, and but it was just a little too late. So because I had no intentions of competing after this last show, um, I enjoyed a meal Saturday night. Well, I say a meal. I enjoyed food Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night. I
Yeah,
had
show me the bill from that. We'll see if it really was just a meal.
Yeah, well, the night of, it was just a meal. I had a burger and some fries, and I had a cookie at the show. But then the next morning or the next day, I had a big breakfast because I really wanted some pancakes. I had some Krispy Kreme donuts. Now, typically, I can smash about a box of glaze and a box of assorted in one sitting. I ate
Wait, we're talking the whole box, the 13 of them?
no 24, 24, 2 dozen glazed and assorted.
At your size? Jesus.
Yeah, I can eat like a competitive body or a competitive eater. So anyways, I ate 3 and I thought I was going to be sick. So that was the extent of my Krispy Kreme. I had looked forward to it. I've never had Krispy Kreme after a show. I ate 3 and that was a wrap. Was pretty full most of the day, so that night I didn't really want a whole lot, so I had a roll of sushi, a burrito and a quesadilla from Taco Bell, and 2 more cookies, and that was pretty much it.
If I'm eating 24 Krispy Kremes, I'm taking a week off of work because I know that I'm going to have to, you know, like, it's going to be an interesting next couple of days, stomach wise, at least. So,
Yeah, and that was the 2 boxes was in a ride from the Krispy Kreme to where we was going. I'd probably say 30 minutes. It was easy, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but I can eat A lot of junk.
I don't eat a lot, but like I can eat super quick. So there's always a trick whenever I'm out with people. I always just tell the waiter, I was like, come back here in 2 minutes and see. Like if I have like a big burger or anything like that, or if I have like a steak, I'll just be like, yeah, come back in 2 minutes and it'll be gone basically. And then but yeah, 24. Good God, that is impressive. I don't normally get impressive too much with people's eating, but I will give you a lot of props for that because that is something that I personally couldn't. I think the most I ever had was probably like 6 or 7, maybe. And that was like, and even then, like I got like my stomach was not good within about like 4 or 5 hours after that. But
Yeah, but 20 weeks of like real structure, and like I said, we didn't do refeeds or cheat meals or nothing like that. So my stomach was not at all used to sugar. The only sugar that I really had in my diet is I had Rice Krispies pre-workout, but those were pulled, I mean, way out for my show. So I didn't have, any sugar in my diet. But anyway, so after the eating ordeal for the weekend, I got back on plan on Monday, and like I said, I had no intentions of competing again. But I reversed all week like I was supposed to. My cardio was reduced, but I was doing it every day. And I cleared my water weight, and I checked in with my coach, and we were just going to repeat the same thing the next week. And my weight continued to come on down some more, and I was liking the way that I looked. So we mentioned, or I talked to him about competing again. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I know that I need to be in better shape. So we're probably going to go right back to low calories, the same amount of cardio I was doing before my show. And it hasn't been that. I'm doing a third less cardio. I'm eating a little bit more food than what I was in my reverse. Um, Fat burners and stuff like that, none of that's in, and I have just managed to like drop weight. I mean, I think I've cleared like 5 pounds in the last 4 days. Um, and I was like, I checked in with my coach today, and I was like, I kind of hope that he like says go have something tonight, or let's increase your food for tonight. But if he doesn't, that's fine. I'm committed to whatever he tells me to do. But yeah, it's been. I feel great. I don't feel tired. Um, I mean, my cardio had gotten up to 90 minutes daily, which I know girls who have to do 2 and 3. I know girls who have to do less. 90 is pretty much where I max out at cardio.
if you're doing 3 hours of cardio, you might need to reconsider like maybe waiting a year before you compete. Then that's what I've always told people because I've had a handful of those on where I'm like 3. Is it really worth it? 3 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours. I'd be like, no, this ain't for me. So it's down to an hour now, but and I didn't do cardio this past Monday when I did legs. I'm waiting to see if it goes down to if the time is reduced or it goes away from daily or whatever. But if it stays in at daily, 60 minutes, I mean, cardio is not that bad to me. I enjoy it. I have a fear of missing out, so it gives me time to look at stuff and whatnot during cardio today. The Arnold UK, so I was like checking on the Arnold UK, who looked like what. Um, Football is on, so I watch football. Uh, so I don't mind the cardio, and 60 minutes when you've been doing 90 for a couple of weeks is kind of nice.
Yeah, people don't understand. Yeah, especially if you're used to such longer hours. I mean, they're like, "Oh, 60 minutes. I could never do that." It's like, well, if you've also been doing it for 90 before, you are gonna, experience significant less, time
Yeah,
on the thing. So,
it's almost like if it was to go down to 30, I don't know what I would do with all my free time.
yeah, I have that problem myself. If I ever have too much free time, I go, hey, let's schedule 5 podcasts this week when I only publish 2 a week. Let's do that because I have too much free time, and that's the mistake that I made last night where I messaged like 50 people and I got like 6 podcasts scheduled. But hey, it's what I do. But anyways, let's be completely honest. You're not the average looking woman. I always make the thing of like, if you're to walk out in public dressed the way you are right now, you are going to get stares just because it's human nature when they see something that's not of the normal to just be like, wow, that's different. What has that been like for you as you've, gotten more and more into the sport? Has it gotten easier for you to accept the fact that like you are going to draw people's attention, or is it still just one of those things where you're like, okay, this is kind of weird?
Well, there's only one other person who competitive bodybuilds in my town, and it's a female. We're the only two. When I go, so typically I wear a lot of gas clothing. They're like the baggy shirts and baggy pants and stuff like that. So unless I'm in a tank top or something like that, you wouldn't really know that I work out. But when I wear a tank top and I go in Kroger or something like that, I have had like people come up and like want to touch me and stuff like that.
Another thing, people just don't go up and do that. I have to say, I never thought that as a human and as like a decent person that I would have to remind people to do that, but unfortunately we do have to remind people, just don't do that. So like, if you're going to, just ask them permission. I mean, I went to a show, I had no urge at all to do any of that. So again, that's just me myself, but like, please ask. And don't just be that guy that just comes up.
Yeah, so those type of folks, I'm kind of like, man, I'm not into it. But I mean, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I need to eat like you." What do you eat? How do you train? And they bombard me with about a million questions. Um, but really, a lot of it is like my family. They're like, "You're too small. You need to eat." Not small like in a muscular kind of way, but
I was gonna say, if they're telling you you're too small, you're like, really? You're gonna taunt me like that?
yeah, they're like, "You need to eat. You're too small. You're underweight. I get a lot of grief from my family about being, lean. They think that I need to be eating and stuff like that. And if I see them and we're at dinner and I've got my prep food with me, they're like, "It won't kill you to eat a little something." And I'm like, "Yes, it will. I can't eat it." Um, and then like the guys that I work with, I'm the only girl on my shift. And a lot of them, you know, they look up to me. They're like,
Oh, I'd be bringing in pizza every night and just taunting you with it. Just be like, oh, doesn't that smell good? Oh, it's so
well,
delicious.
a lot of them are, so typically as like my work night progresses, we wear short sleeves and my arms will be pretty vascular. And one of the guys on my shift, he was like, "You just make me sick. I want my veins to be like that. How do I do that?" I'm like, "You need to be lean." And so they think that is pretty cool. But yeah, the general public, most of the time I'm in baggy clothes, so they don't say too much. But yeah, the few times that I wear a tank top to the store, they'll look at me and they'll have some comments or whatever. But
Me personally, I'd go to the chief and I'd say I can't work her shift. It's too embarrassing for me. It's too, it gets too frustrating for me. So, I'd be like, put me on a different shift. I can't see that every night and not be like, okay, like this is BS, everyone. So, that's me at least. But
somebody, a lady, and I don't know who she was, but I was in uniform and she saw me in a store, and I guess she's seen me in like civilian clothes one time, and she had told me something, some comment like, "Oh, you're that Jack girl that works out," and it just kind of makes me smile a little bit. So
yeah, no, yeah, there's plenty of positive comments that happen too. I mean, I found that it's vastly more positive than negative as I've been, talking to more and more competitors. But you mentioned that like cardio, you're fine with that, which again, I hate cardio more than life itself. But when it comes to sleep, what is your relationship like with sleep? Because like you said, you're a night worker. It's not in the human nature to really be sort of like night owlish, even though I am personally one myself. But do you struggle at all with any sleep problems, especially as you get closer to a show where it's like people don't understand the leaner that you get, the harder it is to sleep. How do you manage, sort of that sleep and work life sort of balance? Because that is out of like probably the three main problems that I hear for like the struggles that bodybuilders go through. That's definitely one of them.
yeah, close to a show, I do struggle a little bit with sleep, but in general, I actually get more sleep working night shift because I do keep a night shift schedule even on days that I'm off, and I have been on the same schedule since May of 2017. So I mean, I am truly used to this schedule. If you asked me to function before lunchtime, I can't function before lunchtime. Like being up during the daytime is a drag for me. So we work 12-hour shifts, but technically, by the time we get there and all that kind of stuff, it's like a 13-hour work day. Um, I sleep, like, if I'm off and I'm going into my first night of work, I probably got 8 hours of sleep the night before. Um, Typically, the only day that I struggle is a work night. I get off at 7 o'clock. I go to sleep at 8, but then I'm up at 1:30. So those are my shortest sleep nights. But other than that, I mean, I pretty much get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I do have to take now that my body fat is lower. I was taking melatonin to try to help me sleep, and that worked for a little while. But then the leaner I got, it stopped working. So now I just take a Unisom at bedtime, and it knocks me right out. I actually overslept today somehow by 2 hours. I have not overslept in probably 5 years, but I overslept today by 2 hours. So it was nice.
That reminds me of the one time in college where I was normally going to bed at like 2 a.m. Normally, sometimes even like 3. But one night I went to bed at 2 a.m. and I did not get up until 6 p.m. the next day, or 6 p.m. the same day. So it was like I'd slept like 16 hours, and I don't know why because I wasn't even that tired. But yeah, I tend to not oversleep myself. Like normally, if my sleep schedule now is like 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. really is what I like to do. But yeah, that night people don't understand like how much just sleeping that night shift can really mess you up.
I like night shift. If I was to work day shift with my current job, I'd have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go
Yeah,
do.
like that's why I never work day shift. Like that's why my job is 1:30 to 9:30, which is perfect for me because like yeah, if I had to work like at 9 a.m., no. Like I can do 10 or 11, but once we get to 9, it's like no, I just can't.
Yeah, I'd have to report to work at 6:45 in the morning. So, and I like to train before I go to work on one meal or two meals because if I train after 5 meals, I just feel groggy. And two, if I was on day shift, then I've got to work a 12-hour day and try to go train, and it just don't work out. So I actually, for my bodybuilding life, night shift is a lot more accommodating than what day shift would be. Now, if it was a 9 to 5 day shift job, it might would be a little bit different, but because we work 12s, night shift works a lot better.
And if someone were to walk up to you and say, Macy, we made the decision, you can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Mm. Ugh.
We saved the hard ones for the end here, everyone.
Um, I would just like for like the general public to maybe not to give women a little bit more credit in bodybuilding and to not make it such a sexualized thing. And just like men would give compliments to other men who bodybuilded, like, dude, you look great, all this kind of stuff. But, they're either intimidated by a female who looks like that or they sexualize it. So that would probably be like just give females the same kind of credit that you would a male. Um, that's probably something.
The sexualization, I jumped into that rabbit hole one night on the internet and I almost wanted to burn my laptop after that and just be like, that was a big eye opener for me too. So yeah, that would be one of mine as well. Absolutely. Yeah, that is something that isn't talked about as much as it should be, but yeah, it is definitely out there. And I mean, when we have you on a year from now, because I'd love to talk to you in a year and see what you've been up to. Where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding? Where would you just like to be at in your overall life? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved if when we have you on a year from today?
Well, this next year, depending on how my next show goes, my husband and we're in the process of doing some IVF stuff to try to start a family. So until that happens, next year is just a year of growth in the gym, starting a family. Um, and then once that happens, it's back full tilt into bodybuilding. I need to put on a lot of size. Um, so I'm just going to take that time to add muscle and get better and continue to eat better. Um, and I mean, I'm doing nationals in December. That's the next show that I'm doing. Um, so I mean, if I was to turn pro, then obviously I'm going to take 2 or 3 years before I do any sort of pro show or whatnot because I want to look competitive on stage. If I weren't to turn pro, then I requalify maybe 2024 and do a national show then.
How does the police force deal with pregnancy, really? Because it's like, if you're like 6 months pregnant, I don't think that they'd probably want you like chasing down people and stuff like that. And like, so how's that whole work? I've always been fascinated by that.
So I'm a patrol officer, so I work on the road. Um, we got some new vests, and they are so tight. I said if I overeat in my reverse or I get pregnant, I am not going to be able to fit in my uniform. Um, so I think most of the time women stay on the road through the first trimester and then starting that second, so maybe 5 months, 4 months on the road, they come off. I like to get into a lot of shit, so I can't be on the road and be pregnant because I'm likely to get hurt or
I was
something
gonna say,
like.
if you're 7 or 8 months and you're pulling me over, I'm just gonna say I can just get out of the car and like do a light jog, and I could probably outrun her.
Yeah. So then, typically you'd get pulled from the road and you would have to go work up in the front office or whatever. So it's like a 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, which is very boring. I don't like that. I like working on the road. I never know what I'm going to get into. Every day is different. I learn something every day I go to work. Um, so I enjoy being on the road. There's not really any other division at the police department that I would like to do. Um, I know we get a lot of grief and stuff like that, but uh, I enjoy my job. Like I said, it's something new every day. I like going to work, not knowing what is going to happen. Um, and yeah, if I have a kid, I know a lot of mamas who are pros who will kill her. So um,
Oh, those are the guests that I love the most. Those are the most impressive to me. Though, like the moms that I have on, that like it's like, how are you even doing that? That's the most like mind blowing thing to me.
so yeah, right. So that'll be another added thing because I've never prepped with a kid because that throws a wrench into things when you've got kids that you have, especially little ones that you have to look over. So that'll be something else that's new, but I look forward to all of that. I love this. It's an expensive hobby, but I'm in it for the long run.
Absolutely. And I mean, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Um, my husband, he's we have not been out or done anything too much because I've been in prep and I have a lot of stuff I have to do. One thing that uh I've grown and matured is in preps in the past. Had he asked me to go through Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A and pick him up something to eat, it would have drove me nuts. Now it's like I don't really care. I'll cook you tacos, I'll go get you food, whatever. So he's very supportive and he's actually the one that told me, if you want to do another show this year, let's do it. We'll make it happen. So without his blessing, I wouldn't even be doing another show. So I'm really appreciative of him and my coach and the other teammates that I have. They're all super supportive, and we travel and watch each other at these big shows and stuff like that. And I'm really thankful to have all of them in my corner.
Yeah, that is great. I've always said that significant others are the unsung heroes of this podcast, really, with all the stuff that they have to deal with on the side. But I mean, yeah, Macy, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and, sharing your journey with us. It was, so great to talk to you, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I look forward to talking to you a year from now and, seeing where you're at. But again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Well, everyone, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.